Thank you, guys. And so last thing before I introduce Queen. So part of this conversation, as you heard Good News also make that political statement, is that technically our work is political work, at least from the way I see it, at least for now. Because it is about advocacy, even if it's a socio-political work, but it is about advocacy and recentering the journey of people on this continent. Of course, the nuances of it become quite fascinating. And so for the last 7 years, we've been doing the Coaching in Africa Symposium. We started in 2016. And in it, we actually centered, as the ABCCCP, an agenda of what do we as coaches, what do we as consultants, what do we as leaders need to do to put Africa back in the center of the world where it's supposed to be, or at least just actively drive a certain agenda for the continent. And we came up with 3 pillars: an Africa that's a thought leader, an Africa that's at peace with itself, and an Africa that is prosperous. And to this year, we are working. So every year now, we are driving that agenda through the Coaching in Africa Symposium in this instance. So many of you have been one way or another to the symposium, and you've seen the impact of it in how it actually shifts and changes the way we think. And I want to invite you guys to continue to advocate for this conversation. So this is technically a lead up as well to the Coaching in Africa Symposium. Please share the link to the symposium. Please come and join us on the 25th, 26th, and 27th, Douglas. I'm not sure about the dates exactly, but in October. And we will continue this conversation. And our theme this year is pretty much about sustainability and security of this continent. And it could not have come at a great time with everything that's happening right now. That's all. And then now to welcome Osquin. Osquin, I can tell you, I've asked ChatGPT to tell us who you are.
And what did they say?
So this is the introduction according to ChatGPT. Queen Ramotsehoa is a leadership coach and the founder of Tseto Leadership and Coaching Academy. She has an honors degree in comparative literature from Wits and is an accredited ICF coach. She's an author of 3 self-coaching tools: the Self-Coaching Leadership Diary, the Turning the Corner Self-Leadership Journal, and a set of self-leadership cards. She is one of South Africa's most sought-after executive coaches. Queen Ramotsehoa's passion is to make a lasting positive impact on others by saving both God and man. She believes that leadership is accountability, not perfection. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome us, Queen Ramotsehoa, who's also, she forgot to add, is the board member of the ABCCCP, newly appointed. Welcome.
Good evening.
I want to barge in here and say that ChatGPT forgot the royalty part.
There we go. There we go. Thank you. Yes, there's royalty here. So good evening. I'm so excited about this conversation because it forced me to put flesh to the bones in a way. It forced me to think more in terms of what do I mean? What does it look like? What is this about? And I really want to just start by saying that as I was preparing Dr. Mongesi, I got to where I even felt like I want to challenge you and challenge this organization even more. And I think to Good News's point that we need to be more visible. We need to get people to get that the coach, the African coach, is not something that we whisper in the shadows when people are not looking, or to make people feel uncomfortable. We don't speak it. I just really feel that it needs to be out there, because that's what this is about. So without wasting more time, I'm just going to start my session. Douglas, if you can just share my second slide, which is about the structure of the session, the few thoughts. There's going to be a lot of questions at the end, and I'm hoping that there'll be engagement, because I don't have the answers. Like I say, it's just the thinking and thinking and thinking and asking the questions. And hopefully out of the more we engage, that we get to where it starts making sense. So the first thing that I want to share is the definition of African. And to Ronald's point, that African is not color, it's not race. African is a different human being that is not defined by looks. And then I'm also going to share my own definition of coaching. And I have read all the definitions of coaching, and the definition of coaching that works for me the most, because I'm a practical person, is the definition that describes what coaching does. So I'm going to share that with you. And then I thought to anchor this conversation, I want to briefly talk to two leadership coaching methodologies. The one is Dr. Khan's coaching on the axis, and the other one is systems thinking. So I just thought those two will also anchor this Africa. What do we mean? What's the relevance? And then after that, it's really, I'm ranting and raving after that. I'm ranting and raving because I'm basically asking, as coaches, I believe that all of us are driven by personal purpose. I have not met many coaches who are coaching as something that is superficial, that sits there, that they do and go home. So the question around what is the purpose for me as a coach? What is my purpose as a coach? And does Africa feature in my purpose at all? And how do I define success for myself as a coach? And how do I look at my legacy as a coach? Does Africa feature, does impact on Africa feature at all when I look at my legacy? So those are my thoughts. And then coaching as a profession. What is the commitment to the client? And who is our client? And are we comfortable just having, frivolous, superficial conversations with our clients? Or are we challenging our clients to anchor their success in something that matters? So more or less, those are the conversations and the thoughts and the questions that I'm going to be sharing with you. I don't know, Douglas, can you hear me? Please share the presentation for me.
Okay, Monkes, can you make me co-host?
Oh,
There we go.
That's
we
what's
are waiting for you.
Because I'm going like, how? What's happening?
How, Mara? Thank
All right.
you.
Done.
Okay, cool. So I'm just going to get on with the definition of being an African. I actually Googled and I saw many definitions of being an African. And that will be slide number 3.
Okay.
And I found this definition just beautiful. Slide number 3. 3. Okay, cool. So I found this quite amazing, actually, because The author says, I want you to ask yourself a series of questions. Do I feel deep within me a strong bond to Africa? Do I feel like the heartbeat of the land beats within my soul? Do I feel passion boil up within me to move this continent forward step by step in my own unique way? And she says, if you answered yes to any of these questions, then you're an African. And I just really feel, for me, then it explains, Hore, when we say African coach, we're talking a coach who has a strong, deep bond with Africa, a coach who is attached to the Africa agenda, and that Africa agenda that is really about, is anything that I do today going to move Africa forward in any way, shape, or form? And is it something that I am conscious of? Is it something that I am passionate about? Is it something that I am deliberate about? Is it something that that I shy away from owning, that I only talk about in certain corners because it's not comfortable for some people to appreciate that my coaching is driven by my passion for Africa? So I'm an African, and for me, being an African means I have a deep, strong bond to Africa, and that I do feel passion boil up within me to move this continent forward, step by step, especially given that for most of us in this call, we are executive coaches. So we coach a lot of people who have the opportunity and the privilege to influence decision makers. It's not as though we are coaching people who don't have a say, who don't have the influence, who don't have the power to decide, to make choices, to influence what happens and how it happens and why it happens, and to put Africa squarely in the center of the agenda. So that's the first critical thing for me, is that the definition of African is somebody who is passionate, that you cannot be in a conversation and not be looking out for an opportunity for Africa.